A blessed and vibrant morning, dear virtual learners. Welcome to another episode of a fun learning engagement. This is Valenzuela Live English 7. Stay tuned in as you will surely learn skills that will definitely develop your abilities as a student. So get your pen and notebook and make it a habit to write important details from our learning journey. Your attendance and active participation in this learning engagement is highly appreciated, so don't forget to type in your name, section, teacher, and school in the comment box. For today's learning engagement, we will mainly focus on this most essential learning competency. Employ a variety of strategies for effective interpersonal communication such as interview, dialogue, or conversation. Specifically, we will give clear, precise, and concise information, explanations, and instructions in varied oral communication situations. We will use appropriate verbal and nonverbal cues when developing, maintaining, and ending conversations and dialogues. We will use appropriate techniques and strategies when asking questions and eliciting answers. And we will formulate short replies. Are you now ready to learn, learners? Let's now begin with our first task, entitled Unscrambling the Skill. Examine the picture and identify the skill presented. Unscramble the letters below to get the correct answer. You may type in your answer in the comment box. Let's begin with number 1. And the correct answer is listening. Here's number 2. And the correct answer is verbal. Let's now have number 3. And the correct answer is non-verbal. Good job, learners! Now, listening skills, verbal skills, and non-verbal skills are all elements of interpersonal communication, which is a part of our daily routine. So, let us now find out what is interpersonal communication and its importance, especially to students like you. Interpersonal communication is the process of exchanging information, ideas, and feelings between two or more people through verbal or non-verbal methods. It includes face-to-face exchange of information in a form of voice, facial expressions, body language, and gestures. Therefore, interpersonal communication is between people, which may involve two people or a group of people. What's important is that there are people involved exchanging information. interpersonal communication have the following forms. It can be verbal, meaning speaking face-to-face or voice, like when you're talking to someone via phone or call. It can be written in a form of letter, email, or chat. Or it can be non-verbal in a form of facial expression or body language. Interpersonal communication is very important in so many ways of our everyday life. So here are 10 examples of interpersonal communication in everyday life. Number 1, speaking in the phone. Whenever we call a friend or talk to someone via call, we are engaging in interpersonal communication. Remember that in this way of communication, the tone of the voice is as important as words when we are talking to someone. Number 2, giving a presentation at work or school. This sharing of information in a formal setting is another form of interpersonal communication. In this type, we may use technologies such as PowerPoint presentation to help us communicate information. Number 3, expressing our emotions through facial expressions, which is another way or an indirect way of communicating with others. For instance, as one can say one thing with words, and we can also express something differently through our facial expression. Number 4, sign language. Many members of the deaf community communicate using sign language, which come in many forms, such as the British Sign Language or BSL and American Sign Language or ASL. Number 5, writing an email. Communicating with friends and others via email is something many of us do every day. Editing emails to get our words just right can also make our communication clearer and concise. Number 6, chatting with a group in a party. Talking to people in an event or occasion is an informal and fun type of communication. Tone of the voice, gesture, and words are very important here to communicate with people very well. Number 7, giving and receiving instructions. Examples of these are communication that take place in our workplace, in school, or instructions that we can see in train stations, or giving directions to visitors to our town, and reading instructions in leaflet for new appliances or gadgets. Number 8, body language during job interview. The way we sit or stand can communicate a lot of our state of mind. For example, sitting with our arms open rather than folded and our hands visible shows that we are in an open and honest state of mind. Number 9, sending an invitation. Whenever we send invitation to a party or other event, it is a way of communicating with others, and when the invitees reply, they are also communicating with us in their turn. And number 10, sending a text or chat message. This is another way of communicating with people in writing. This type of messaging can often have many of the elements of conversation between a group of people talking in the same room, even though each person is in different places throughout the globe. Now, the mentioned examples are only some of the interpersonal communication we are engaging every day. But there's a whole lot more. Just remember, as long as there is an exchange of information, whether simple or complex, formal or informal, verbal or non-verbal, between people, it is considered as interpersonal communication. Now, let us try the next activity. Read the following statements and comment a heart emoji if it's true and a sad emoji if the statement is false. Let's begin with number 1. When you are formally introduced to someone, you should never shake their hand. The correct answer is false. It is a polite gesture if you shake hand when you are introduced to someone. Let's now have number 2. When giving directions, it is important that your instructions are clear and precise. The correct answer? True. Use simple yet easy to understand words when giving direction and instructions. Vice versa, when you read or follow instructions, make sure you fully understand. Let's now have number 3. When asking questions, you should be aware of the relevance to the person and situation. The correct answer? True. Whenever you are asking questions in class discussions or simple conversation, make sure that your question is related to the topic being discussed or to the people you are talking to, and make it also a point that you ask questions in a polite manner. Let's now have number 4. It is not proper to eat or to have another conversation when you are answering a phone call. And the correct answer? True. It is an important etiquette that whenever you are having a conversation to anyone, your attention must be to the person you are talking to. And let us now have the last number, number 5. When giving criticism, it is important to be constructive. And the correct answer? True. Whenever you are asked to give your comment about someone's presentation or performance, make sure that you give attention not only to what needs to be improved, but also the good points, and avoid using offensive words. Did you get all correct answer, learners? Wow! Great job, grade 7 students! Remember that communication must be hot, honest, open, and two-way. And now, we are in the question and answer portion. You have 2 minutes to type in your question, and I will be glad to answer them later. Let us now answer some of the questions captured by our moderator. Our first question is from Genti de Leon National High School. What other skills are included in interpersonal communication? Well, aside from listening and speaking as a basic skills of interpersonal communication, it also includes the ability to understand, problem-solving skills, decision-making skills, and personal stress management. Those are the other skills included in interpersonal communication. Let's now have our second question from Malanday National High School. How important is interpersonal communication skills in everyday living? Well, effective interpersonal communication is very important because it is very helpful in workplace, even in school, where we need to interact with different people. It is also important in maintaining good relationship with family and friends. Therefore, interpersonal communication skills is important as it is also considered as a life skill. Let's now have our last question from Venteriales National High School. What are the elements of interpersonal communication? Well, the elements of interpersonal communications are the communicators, which refers to the sender and the receiver. Second element is the message. Next element is the feedback or response. And next element is the channel or the medium of delivery of information. And of course, the context. For other questions or queries that you have in your mind, your respective English teacher will surely be glad to answer them. Also, they will be guiding you in accomplishing activities that would develop your interpersonal communication skills. And that ends our learning journey for today, learners. I hope you learned a lot and thank you for joining me. Keep on studying hard and remember that in any situation, education must continue. This has been Mom Michelle and this is Valenzuela Live English 7.